All right, Zion. Shalom, shalom, shalom. I thought I'd try to find another spot to share what the Most High has been sharing with me about this covenant. Never forget, we are the covenant people. And we traced our lineage beyond Abraham all the way back to Adam. And so what I want to show you is every single time there is the annihilation or the breaking of the covenant on man's part, we're going to see that Yah is then going to do something in order to not have to kill or wipe out mankind in this case. And so we saw that the covenant with Noah was made with him, and the ark and the blessings. We learned, like, after the flood, what his dominion would be. That's part of the covenant. We also learned what he could do, what he could not do as part of the covenant. We found out what he could eat, the things that are clean, because there was clean and unclean on the boat. He didn't eat anything unclean. It was clean. He could not drink blood or eat blood. And of course, them heathens been doing that for a long time, but that was against the covenant. And of course, murder took a very, prominent place in the new covenant. There was no murder. There was to be no murder, no black on black crime, none of that. Why? Because this was a new covenant, and we see that the murder of Abel by Cain, and then further after the we've gone through this already, but we know that all humanity fell into this crazy perversion, so much so that Yah had to destroy it. So he reestablished his covenant. In our last video, before we were rudely interrupted by the heathen, and that some of the most satanic, awful sounding, what they call it ain't even music, noise. I said, no, let us find another spot, Zion, because we're not going to be the easy giving up type around here. So we want to continue with this idea that something was wrong with Ham. And that's not to become, I'm not putting this out to try to make one race superior than the other. We find out that all Ham, Shem, and Japheth go crooked. We know that. But the first evidence of someone carrying some kind of weird something, some kind of like unrighteous act, when you see Ham making mockery some kind of way of his father, after it's just and then it shows something, that his character, man, the dude wasn't right. And you can see his kids. We'll study those later. But it says, and the sons of Cush, verse 7, Sheba, and Havilah, and Sapta, and Raamah, Septeka, and the sons of Ramah, Sheba, and Dedan. Now notice verse number 8. And Cush begat Nimrod. That's interesting. Why did it just say, and the sons of this, and this person, this person, this person? No. When we get to Nimrod, you are told right off the bat, that's Cush's son. Why is that important? Because Ham is the progenitor. Well, all of them are the progenitor of the dark races. That's a lie with when you go online. They always try to make it as though some kind of way Noah had 3 different color sons. That's just stupid. We're not dealing with that European stupidity at this point, because we can't operate on such a low level of frequency and try to actually teach Zion. So Ham, Shem, Ham, and Japheth are black because their mom and daddy is black, and the whole earth is black at this time. There is no what y'all want to call. There is no so-called white man at this time. There are the sons of Ham, Shem, and Japheth, which may or may not have traces of albino in them or whatever. But at this point, they have not yet moved from what we call the Fertile Crescent. We know that all the world is going to be right around the place what we call Babylon. And it was a conscious effort by this son of Cush to keep the world from being overspread, he was like, no, we're going to stay together. And I'm going to prove it in a second. So everybody's now black people. When you look at these people, these are all black people. Don't let the heathen fool you. All right? So this particular son, Ham, has a son named Cush, who has a son named Nimrod. And why is Nimrod so vitally important to the scripture? That he's actually going to be talked about in 3 different ways. Why is it that we need to know Nimrod? Let's see. And Cush, verse 8, begot Nimrod, and he began to be a mighty one in the earth. Toda Rabbi Yah for just showing me this. If you go back before the flood, Genesis chapter 6, and you get into verse, you can start at verse 4. And there were giants in the earth in those days, so that after that, when the sons of Yah came into the daughters of men, that they bare children, and the same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown. So what happened here? In verse, when you get to chapter 10, and you see the description of Nimrod, it says, and he began to be a mighty one in the earth. Some kind of way that weird spirit that was in the people that caused them to go off into a world so terrible that Yah destroyed everything, made it through the flood. There's no doubt about it. And it first showed its ugly head in Ham. And now we're seeing that it is coming to fruition where? In Ham's grandson, not Canaan, not right now. Cush. Cush has a son named who? Nimrod. And what is Nimrod known for? Wherefore it is said, even as Nimrod, the mighty hunter before Yahuwah. That is a weird English term, and you English translators and all of you all who won't fix that, you're going to hell for that. You're going to pay. Because you know what that word really means. You know that it meant against. You know that the Hebraic meaning of Nimrod's place and position and why he became a man of renown and became a mighty man was because he was warring against Yah. He wasn't like the way it sounds, a hunter before Yah, like Yah will go out hunting and Nimrod will go out before him and do some hunting too, like they was working together. Y'all gonna pay for that, because what you're doing, and I know what you're doing, you're blending, you're trying to blend, you're trying to pull the wool over Israel, and I'm gonna help my people. I'm gonna help the 12 tribes of Israel understand this Bible like they ain't never understood it before and see things that they've never seen before. We see an unclean spirit. One of these fallen demons, and it could be more than one, but for sure, we know that one of these unclean spirits made it through the flood waters. We saw it in Ham. That was such an unclean spirit that Noah cursed Canaan. Then we see it pop up again in Nimrod, where this unclean spirit, some kind of way, is possessing this man. And as a result of this demonic possession, he now becomes the #1 warrior against Yah. And he is a demonically possessed individual. So much so that this demonically possessed man marries a demonically possessed woman, and they create a world religion. I'm trying to tell y'all what Yah love is the truth, to establish on the planet the doctrine of demons. So what do we have? We have Noah and the covenant relationship between Yah, and at the time of Noah, and his family, right? Noah will represent at this time the world. Now Noah's great-grandson, which is Ham's grandson, which is Cush's son, Nimrod, is now pointed out. Why? Because this satanic Hamite has decided that he, as he has grown more and more powerful and more mighty by demonic possession and power, has now chosen to hunt Yah. He's gonna fight Yah. He's going after Yah. He's going after him like he's gonna kill him. He's gonna establish himself on this planet as the God of this world and the God of this earth. That's what the Hebraic is. And I dare anybody out there to try to challenge it. If you know Hebrew, you're going to say, yep, Moreh is right. It's a proper interpretation of that. Watch this. Nimrod the mighty. Wait a minute. As it is said, even as Nimrod the mighty hunter before. And that word before, we already know, translated Hebraically, is in the face of. Who? Yah. So we see rebellion at a height. Verse 10. And the beginning of his kingdom. His kingdom? Wait. Who's setting up kingdoms here? We have a king. Yahuwah's the king. Noah's the prophet. So what are we doing with a kingdom being set up? See? What kingdom is this? This is Satan's kingdom. And this is Satan's kingdom against Yah's kingdom. Y'all got to let that really sink in. There is, after Noah, a record of the beginning of the kingdom of Satan that was set up on purpose to do what? War against Yah and Yah's covenant. And more specifically, war against Yah and Yah's covenant people. And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel and Erik and Akkad and Calneh in the land of Shinar. Wait a minute, it wasn't just Babel? No. And he had all the land under him. He was the king. And he rallied people under a perverted, deviant system that stood against the very covenant that Yah had made with his great-grandfather. Verse 11. Out of that land went forth Asher and builded Nineveh and the city of Rehoboth and Calah, and Rezin between Nineveh and Calah, that same is a great city. So that's all a description of who? Nimrod and Nimrod's kingdom. I want y'all to really understand that we have on the scene a person who's now setting up a counter kingdom, a perversion of the truth. This is an attack on the covenant that Yah has made with humanity, and it's Nimrod. I want y'all to understand that the Bible spends a lot of time telling you he's the first person after the flood that literally went after Yah to fight him, to challenge him. And he didn't just have one kingdom. That kingdom spread throughout all the region of what we know today as the Fertile Crescent. And on our next video, we're going to pick it up right here so I can show you, Zion, how his kingdom is still affecting Israel to this day. Shalom.